Whoa, yeah. Day starts way before dawn, in the dark, trolling through badlands, never acting like a pawn, pounding the keyboard with harsh commands. Sun is starting to peek through the trees, ranch chores not even on the list. Chickens clucking like little bees, rounding up chicken, God Eckstein's best. He can hear the mules kicking up dust, Prince and the leather revolution. Carrots and apples a must. Ride, Sally, ride. Bucking stalls 25 hours a day. Mountain ranch life is the solution. Pitchfork heavy, full of hay. Here's the story of the shepherd of the flock. Wizards bringing them up. Both of them hair of white locks. The youngest one is a little diva to the grand wizard. Time is a human construct. Disposes his phone in authority cage as not to be disrupted. Top golfer on the links, holding one after choreography. Driving for show, putting for dough. Content to full circle, homemade ranch, making candy juice turpentine. Special made bourbon branch, pulling into from Ever's fantastic on purpose, baby. Another day living in paradise. He's not a Hasselhoff unless you're a bird. His I will not scoff, for Cassie will be heard. Wizard steps are few with a skip to my loo. He is not a Hasselhoff unless you're a bird. His I will not scoff, for Cassie will be heard. Wizard steps are few with a skip to my loo. Wizard Gandalf, speaker of apocryphal scripture. We follow your lead. Oh, 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 oh. We follow your lead. Oh, 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 oh. We follow your lead. Oh, 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 oh. We follow your lead. Yeah.
Well, there we go. We're following the Wizards' lead. or is that the Wizards' lead?
No, there's a whole lead in the pencil joke there that I won't make. It's holiday season. So.
Well, you kind of just did, so we're gonna let that ride.
Well, happy Saturday.
It is that.
Happy Saturday.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day here in the middle of Idaho.
Happy Saturday here too, in Kentucky.
Happy Saturday from Florida, everyone.
Hey. Well, we're going to introduce everybody to our new member of our family. This is Miss.
He has two names. It's complicated.
Yeah, Bert made it complicated. It's Knox is his first name, Gumbo is his middle name, and we'll leave it at that. But here's a little intro for Knox Gumbo.
Crazy tail. Crazy tail.
He was delivered to us about 11:30 Wednesday night, all the way from Knox, Texas.
Wow. What a blessing.
Well, there's an interesting story behind this in how you were able to, the angelic transport network, getting your new furry family member in the house. But do we have that on this evening? I know that was one of the goals that we had. The woman who did the transport. Do you want to tell that story, Mike?
Yeah, we met the opportunity to adopt Knox from one of our neighbor's daughter who lives right there in Knox, Texas, right outside of Dallas. And she'll be actually on Monday night show. And then after the whole adoption was going very well, then the conflict, or should I say the concern, was the transportation. Since American Airlines does not allow dogs to fly in the cargo area anymore in kennels, that was out of the question. So we found a lady that's what she does for a living. She actually transports dogs from state to state across the country. And she drove and delivered a dog from Indiana to Texas. Then she picked up Knox and drove Knox from Texas to Idaho. She left here, was headed back to Indiana to pick up another dog to drop, and a cat. So she has found her niche where her husband passed away roughly a year ago. So this is what she does.
Wow.
So if anybody ever needs to transport an animal for adoption or anything like that, find a way to get a hold of Bird, and we can definitely. She's a very, very incredible, sweet lady that just packs up the animals and puts them in her own personal car, and she drives them.
What a nice thing to do.
Very much so. Yeah, she
Sort
took
of
pictures and
interesting.
updates and let us know how things were going. She gave him his medicine on his way. So I mean, she's a very, very good blessing.
That would seem like an interesting daily existence.
Well, considering she is transporting a dog and a cat now, and she let us know a few hours ago that it was snowing pretty heavily where she was at. So keep some positive vibes. Her name is Bonnie. So keep some positive vibes for her as she transports these other two animals to their new homes.
I've never heard of someone that does that in the dog universe. There's people in the equine universe that are transport infrastructure, which gets sort of dicey sometimes. You know, some of those larger horse carriers, you can pack a bunch of animals in there, but with horses at least, you can only do so many hours a day, or it's too much stress on the animal. You know, because they're standing up back there in those stalls, so can't go too fast, can't go too far.
I knew a guy that did that once for the dogs. He drove all over the place. He also delivered four-wheelers. Dogs or four-wheelers?
Well, I know
Some parts
when
of some parts of the country, I think dogs and four-wheelers go together.
I was thinking the same thing, Randall. That and you know, mules are the ultimate four wheelers. They're 4-wheel drive, where horses are sort of 2-wheel drive. So I'd rather be on a horse or a mule than a 4-wheeler. That's for sure.
Yes, me too. Any day.
I don't know.
Well,
I kind of enjoy four-wheelers. I like
4-wheelers too, but I'd rather be on a mule. Well, I'd rather be on a Sally, to be specific. I think you'd mentioned, Durandal, that your application of chill doggies had been included in helping your new puppy with anxiety.
Oh
You see
yeah,
that?
we have since he is dealing with some health issues. They have him on a pretty aggressive heartworm treatment, as well as a dual ear infection. And then we found out through some X-rays yesterday, which you never really know what you have when you're gonna adopt a pet. He has a They've seen some things in his lungs as well as a narrowed esophagus. So he's dealing with some stuff, but so Bird started giving him the chill doggies, and hopefully you want to get him on some of the mushroom treatments as well. But he's had some mush ponies, but he's doing really, really well. He's actually, you can tell when we first got him till now that he is now hearing better because he's paying more attention to sounds outside. I don't think he actually, due to the ear infection, was actually hearing very well when we first got him.
Well, his eye was squinted and red too.
So he has gotten a heck of a lot better, a lot more playful. But due to the heartworm medication, they recommended that we don't get him too excitable, because they say that as his body gets rid of the worms, they could clot and cause other issues. So we're trying to keep him as easygoing, and luckily he is pretty easygoing. So just yeah, and we have kind of followed Gan's protocol where Bird has been cooking chicken and sweet potatoes and carrots, and that's pretty much what he's eating.
He's standing by the stove.
I definitely throw in some of those mush ponies too. That's going to help
I
get
do.
rid of all of that.
Yep.
Yeah. I put them in the bowl with the food.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Yeah. He really likes it.
Of course.
He was skeptical at first, but now as his appetite is coming back, he stands by the stove now. And this boy eats a lot.
Big dogs eat a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
We go through. I use lentils and cabbage as a base, and then I've got this canned salmon. It's a inexpensive salmon,
Right.
and I put all that in the crock pot, or not the crock pot, the pressure cooker, and it pulls the oil out of the fish. It's a sort of an oily fish, and we have smaller eggs that come out of our egg production site. We've got a flock, and so a couple of times a day, you get an egg, you get a little bit of kibble, and you get a couple of big spoons of the stuff out of the pressure cooker. And the boys are, you can tell by the poops. They're all good,
Right,
healthy poops.
right.
So
Yeah.
even the little one who likes to poop in my office, sometimes in my chair,
Ruh-roh.
it's only when I
The
try and
diva
trim the
divot.
chihuahua's nails.
Yeah, I miss having a dog. I just don't have time for one anymore.
We didn't think we did either.
Of
But it has really been a blessing.
course.
It's yeah. They're so grateful when they do stuff like this.
So we got another little short video of
Oh, just
Mr. Knox.
yeah, just today he found toys.
Yeah. But he's two, so he's got a lot of puppy in him still. So he found bones, he's found tennis balls, and he got to watch Annabelle chase a frisbee today. So we let that happen a couple of times, and he started getting excited, so we had to turn that away.
When we brought Divot home from the rescue, our Chihuahua, who's been here, about 10 months now, I guess. She got up on the bed when we first got her home, and she was so excited. She was running in circles. She was like, "I've come to dog heaven. It's heaven. There's a bed." She is the little animals, the little Chihuahuas. They'll steal your heart if you don't watch it. They're just so
That's
cuddly,
right.
or not. or they're
I'd like to
Karen.
say hello to our neighbor Jill. She's the one that made all of this financially possible. So, hi Jill, and thank you. We love you.
Thank you, Joe. We appreciate you.
So down south they don't call those Chihuahuas. You know what they call them?
A rat dog,
No, it's a Chickahua.
a chickahua. Now, rat dog. That's what you get called. That's what they are in Arkansas, because it's so. Most of the small dogs, like the Chihuahua and the smaller toy breeds, were originally bred as mousers, and they were bred down in size so that they could get in the little places to get after the mice or
Well,
rats.
that's why they're so mean.
That is why they're so mean. That's why all little dogs, just like little horses. You know, people say, "Oh, it's a cute little horse." Man, the little horses, you got to watch out. They are nasty. They will
Little
bite
man.
you.
Like the rat terriers. You see.
Yeah, I have the same fear of a Chihuahua that I do a Rottweiler.
Wow.
I don't fear either of them. I'm an alpha. I'm good. I
That's how I feel. I can back any dog down with my words.
I don't want to back them down. I want to hug. It's the opposite.
That's how I feel, but sometimes they'll come at you aggressively. Not all dogs are friendly. It's when that alpha kicks in.
All dogs are friendly at heart, in my opinion.
They are. They just don't trust everybody when they've been on the streets.
That's true. That I cannot disagree. That's where it comes from. You're absolutely right. Cannot disagree there.
Cats are a different story. Cats are interdimensional beings gracing us with their presence in this timeline.
See, to me, cats are cool. Because either they want to be with you or they don't. If they don't, they're just like, I'm out. See you later. I'm finding a way out.
And we got really lucky because Knox Gumbo could care less that we have a cat. And she seems a little concerned about it at times, but then she's really not.
Oh, the shepherds just go crazy when they see the barn cats. They're barking
funny.
their heads off on the porch. They are pretty sure that feline translates to snack. So,
Yeah.
one of our charges this summer in Arizona is we're supposed to watch. There's a couple of cats that are on site in the spot that we're going to be posted up for a while, and I'm just hoping that everything works out there and there's not one less cat when we leave.
Well, that was like when we got Annabelle a few years ago. We got her from a farm down in Melba, Idaho, and she was raised on a cattle farm as a cattle dog. And one of the questions that Bird asked her original daddy, farm daddy, is how she got along with cats. And this is his expression, his phrase. Well, they haven't killed one yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
First thing that she killed was a bird.
Yeah, imagine that.
It's an interesting omen.
Swallowed it whole.
Oh
and
my
just
God.
jumped off the little fledgling, jumped off of the nest, and yep, she swallowed it whole. And
Oh
I
my
said,
God.
"Oh, you're that kind of girl."
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl.
And she was raised in a barn. So.
That's hilarious.
But I mean, there was one year she was the best pest control person that we ever had on our property. I think she got 25 plus bulls and squirrels that year.
Wow. I need one of those.
We were to the point that our neighbors were like, let her hunt. Because the voles in the springtime in Idaho, all they must do in the wintertime in hibernation is just produce more. So when the snow finally leaves and it turns into mud season, the voles come out in droves. So to have her on the property and running loose on our property and our neighbor's property, they were like, let her hunt. She didn't eat them. She just didn't want nothing to do with them.
Well, didn't you get in trouble with the HOA because they were supposed to be a protected rodent or some crap?
We had some endangered squirrel people come inspect our property. Needless to say, we put Annabelle up during that time.
Yeah. You can't let out your serial killer during Disneyland season.
No. and it's funny because the guy that we got her from, when I asked him why he was getting rid of her, because he sells his cattle dogs at auctions for $40,000 plus.
Oh my gosh.
And that's all these dogs do is work cattle. And to listen to Jeff talk, Jeff's like, the dogs work harder than one dog works harder than 5 men, works from sun up to sundown, doesn't complain, and eats really cheap.
Yeah, that's very true. Correctly trained and energetic farm animal is worth up to 5 guys. That's very true.
So I asked him, I said, why are you getting rid of her so inexpensively? He's like, because she's not mean enough. And so we get her home, and she goes on a vole and squirrel rampage. But I mean, he said she's not mean enough with the cattle. So.
Yeah, the first time you watch a dog work cattle, it's pretty anxious experience because, you know, you got a 60-pound animal bossing around a 2,000-pound animal, and a bunch of.
Yeah, I mean, after I actually got to see her work cattle, which was just a fluke one afternoon up in New Meadows, they have such an instinct and they're so agile that I understood why they use border collies and Australian collies, because they have an instinct of anticipation. Because there was a few times that they tried to kick her, they tried to head her, they tried to horn her, and the way that she can accelerate and brake so quickly.
She's poetry in motion.
As I understand why they use those dogs and why those dogs are so smart when it comes to working cattle. I mean, it was mesmerizing just to watch her work.
Well, the genetics don't always kick in. We have an intermittent mouse issue up here in the mountains. I mean, we're on farm property. It's pretty unavoidable, and we can't have a house cat because of the shepherds. They'll eat the cat. But the divot, the Chihuahua, is supposed to do that job, and she'd rather stay, and beg for treats.
I guess you're not paying divot enough.
Because she's pretty cute. She's pretty hard not to give a treat. Her weight doubled when she got here.
I'm sure.
It has not necessarily come down, which is fault.
I guess we just need to bring Annabelle up there for a week.
Yeah.
She'll get rid of the mouse. She'll get rid of the mouse problem.
Yeah, well the barn's fine. We got 2 barn cats now, so the barns are good. But and the barn cats don't mess with chickens or the eggs, which is perfect.
Oh, that's even better.
It is even better. They're protectors. Sometimes they're sleeping in the hen house when I go in there in the morning. And if they're sleeping in the tack room, I get in trouble because you don't need cats scratching up the expensive leather.
Right.
We only have a full tack room worth of stuff from when Lou was back in the horse boarding business. But,
yep.
Well, we had sort of had some plans this evening to talk about the joy of Christmas as an engagement without running up $50,000 worth of credit card debt. What's that? What are your human to human plans as we head into the holiday season here, Gavin? How are you mounting that challenge of staying engaged with people to people during the season?
I just kind of try to spend time with the girlfriend right now. That's pretty much it. I'm pretty much a homebody all year long, man. Unless I'm working, I stay home. It's not worth being disappointed by people, unfortunately. So I kind of stay disconnected and focused on my work. I'm trying to get somewhere. But other than that, I mean, I have friends and stuff, it's just hard to communicate sometimes because I think about things differently than most people, you know? I'm an oddball, but I own it.
That's the first choice for recovery, is to own it.
Of course. I I don't see it as a flaw though, it allows me time to introspect on things.
I bet you're the black sheep of your family too, right?
100%. Unfortunately, it's because I'm not soft spoken, so and they don't like that. That a lot of them. I mean, my mom accepts it now, and our relationship has grown dramatically since because, in accepting some of the things that I say, she realizes that a lot of the things that I'm making her aware of is accurate a lot of the times, and it's hard for people to face themselves. I have to face myself. That's the only reason I'm able to to do that, because I'm not afraid to call my own self out when I see something, which is hard to interact with people in that way. To be genuine is a difficult thing, I believe.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get deep.
Oh, you're okay. You're okay. What about you, Nature Girl? How do you approach the holidays?
Oh, carefully and quietly, and just I kind of quit all that stuff a long time ago. The hype of it, the commercial of it, I just don't. It's ugh. I'm not into that. So we just hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much myself and Bird. I mean, all of our kids are grown. We have some grandchildren, but pretty much the kids are to the point where during the year, and that's just what we've done is we don't wait to their birthdays or to Christmas. We kind of just as we feel that we can get them something or they need something that they're even that we can surprise them with. That's pretty much what we do now, or like this time of the year, we all elected to not exchange gifts this year because we're all doing our own thing, and we'll all probably get on the phone on a Skype call or a Zoom call, Christmas Day or leading up to Christmas Day or New Year's, and just kind of hang out. But we've gotten to the point where we've been pretty lucky to see our kids this year and twice this year, travel across the country. And even the three boys are like, we got to see you guys. We'd rather have those memories than have gifts. So I think we've done a pretty good job of raising them, but we kind of just hang out and just kind of spend the time together, do it the best way we can. And like Gandalf was saying, it just, don't need to go into debt with a bunch of stuff. And when you can just spend time with people, show people that you love them. We don't know, like our counterpart on the other show, they're dealing with some stuff where one of them's mom is having a hard time. So just spend time with people, enjoy people, love on people, tell people that you love them, because we don't know what tomorrow is what's gonna be here.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Hercules. Good evening.
Hi, good to be here.
Glad you could join us for the evening or for a while.
Me too.
How are you? How's the weather where you're at?
The weather's gorgeous. I love this time of year. This is what I put up with through the summer to be here for this time. So it's fantastic. So the last couple of days I had gone out, to walk the dogs thinking, oh, it's kind of chilly, I'll bring a sweater. I end up taking it off. I'm not even up all the way off my street, and I'm ripping it off because it's just nice. It's like perfect. 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. It's
Yeah.
Wow.
amazing.
Nice.
Did I just heard you say you went streaking, Kirk? Is that what I
Up
heard?
the street, not streaking.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Gan.
Fully clothed. We have a neighborhood watch committee here. I'm sure
Oh,
that would be all over the
yeah,
neighborhood.
your HOA would not like that, would they?
You're not putting the hoe in HOA. That's not what I heard.
No, definitely not. But it does remind me of a time when I was living in Half Moon Bay. I don't know, it was probably the 1970s. And one of our friends' dads, he liked to, he liked to have a few drinks. But this was in the morning. He streaked up everybody's street and then ran back home
Huh.
through a pathway that me and my friends had made. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Nice.
Was he streaking to
Just
that
those sleigh-
song?
Those sleigh bells
You-
jingling.
This was the 1970s, so no, there was no music. There were no cell phones. I mean, I guess back then they had like the cassette recorders, but no, nope. He was just enjoying himself, I guess. Trolling. He was trolling.
You had to put it that way, didn't you?
It was the 1970s. I mean, what are you going to do? So, good times, good times.
70s
well,
hard at times.
Yep. So the question was going around before you joined on is, what do you do and how do you approach the holidays without going in completely into debt?
Oh, my whole family's gone, so I haven't bought a thing.
Even better.
Not one thing. I will get something for the kids, for the grandkids, but I haven't yet because they're not going to be here. I probably
Yeah.
won't see them until I won't see anybody probably until after the new year. So this year is pretty easy. I like it. I like the whole not shopping for anything or anyone.
Well, with that scenario, you can shop the after Christmas sales and get everything at 75% off.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah.
Good.
My daughter and son-in-law left for Brazil today. They'll be gone for 3 weeks. They'll be getting home on the 4th, which is my birthday. And
Well,
Michael,
that was a nice shameless plug there, wasn't
yep.
it?
Michael, Jenna, and the kids are going to Southern California. They leave this coming Saturday, and I don't know when they'll be back. They're celebrating Faith's birthday, so that's on the 27th. So they might not be back until, I don't know. I didn't ask. Everybody's just off doing their own thing. I'm fine with that. I don't believe in the whole consumerism, materialism of Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
It got out of hand there for a while, so I just backed off. I was like, you know what? No, you guys are all working. Y'all buy whatever y'all need. Like, I'm just gonna buy for the kids.
Takes the pressure
Well,
off.
it should be that your present is your presence.
Well, and typically that's what it is. And we usually do something. But gosh, I'm trying to think when we were last all together for Christmas. It's been, let me think. Last year, no. Everybody was off gallivanting the world last year as well. The year before, I was with my aunt and uncle and my brother in California. So what would that be? 2022 maybe? Was the last time that we had it all together, and it was mostly just, getting together for a meal and togetherness and telling jokes and, just being the family.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the part of the season that I miss
Yeah.
is just the time when all of the family, and when I mean all, when I was younger, I remember going to Pennsylvania and all of my aunts, uncles, cousins, we'd all be at somebody's house for
Mm-hmm.
the holidays. Kids, I mean, yeah, the Polish German side of my family, everybody was lit, but I mean, I miss the family time, just hanging around. Whether it's we always played football after Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner,
Yeah.
and that's the part that I miss is just. I mean, even now, I mean, like you, all of our kids are grown and they're all doing their own thing. But if I could get my wish 2 or 3 times a year, that would be either all of them come home and we can have a weekend together or dinner together or us go there and do the same thing. To me, that's the part that I miss about family.
And we just had that. So we kind of had the family all together, including their dad. He flew down from Seattle for Thanksgiving, and we had everybody together. We did a lot of stuff. We went to the zoo and went to um, street markets and the train park, and toured around. So I feel like we already did that. We did that during Thanksgiving weekend, and that was perfect. And now everybody's free to go do whatever everybody's free to go do whatever they want to go do at any time, any place anyway, right? So
As long as you have their dogs.
I
Yeah.
have 4 dogs right now. I have my daughter and son-in-law's big dogs. Max is probably the biggest golden retriever I've ever met in my life. He is about the size of Hercules. Hercules was
Oh
a big,
wow.
big boy. And Cooper's he is a Rottie mix. And we actually just got the boy dogs, my little Bailey, who's all of probably 25 pounds, and we finally got all of the boys together last Saturday, and we did the walk down to the park and introduced them at the park, and then we came back here and spent time in the yard and then time in the house to make sure everybody would be okay. This was the first time we've been able to have them face to face all together.
Oh, that's
So, it was
cool.
last Saturday. Before I just had to kennel Bailey and the other 2 separately, because Allie gets along with everybody, so she got to stay out, but because we didn't have time to do a proper introduction the last time I watched the boys, we didn't know how Bailey would react, and he's kind of he's a poop talker. He
A
growls.
what? A
He's
what?
he's a poop talker.
Oh, okay, I
He
got it now.
he growls and talks like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kick your you know what," but these dogs are huge, and he's not. So, I mean, he was growling at the big golden retriever who's just such a lug. And I showed Bailey his teeth. I said, "Dude, look at these teeth." I said, "Have you looked in the mirror, seen your teeth?" I said, "You're on the losing end of this one." So he's asleep right now. Everybody's kind of chill. Everybody's been fed. It's pretty quiet right now. I like this.
Chill doggy induced.
Yeah. Chill dog, yeah. Is that a plug?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't
It's
know
a good
where I'd
plug.
be without them.
A really good plug.
Yeah.
So Herc, since you're here, I have a special piece of content for you that I was hoping you would show up.
I don't think
for
I
those
can
that
see
don't
my
know,
screen right now. There's some kind of weird new software update, and it's blocking my entire screen, and I can't get out
well,
of it.
so that's okay. I can describe this to you. What I have here is a PDF. It's a magazine from the early 1900s. It's an 800 page PDF, so it's a bunch of volumes back to back, and these are all published 1904, 1905, 1906.
Hey, I figured it out. I
And
can
this,
see it. Voting machines in use, paper ballot already done away with, in hundreds of cities. S-
yeah,
What
so
was it?
for those that
Saving
don't,
time and
for those
money and preventing errors and fraud.
preventing error and fraud. Well, look, that
Mm-hmm.
sounds like a good idea. So those that don't know, Hercules is involved with her local electoral process, and she's out, engaging, which I rail upon because I don't think that I think there's selections, not elections, for a very long time. And I can go
Well,
back.
you and I haven't talked in a while. I took myself away from the Republican Party, became an independent
The
again.
GDI, gosh darn independent.
Yep.
So I can go
Because
back to the 70s. In 1971, Nixon purchased back end voting system for the nation from Perot Voting Systems, Ross Perot, who was sort of the Elon Musk of his time. He was the largest technically related Department of Defense contractor. And I really thought that was the primary instance of when machines came into play in the electoral process. But apparently that's not true. This is in 1905. 17 of the largest and most important states, including New York, Illinois, Ohio, Iowa, Kansas, and California, have already passed laws legalizing the use of voting machines in all elections. By an act of the 55th Congress, their use was legalized for the election of representatives in Congress. Voting machines are exclusively used in 387 cities and villages in New York alone, in many municipalities throughout the country. This was sort of shocking to me. I did not know that we were using machines this far back. That means that we've been under the voting machine tyranny now for 120 years.
well, then
That's
what
sort
they
of
were showing us in California in the 1970s was just a production. Interesting, right?
yeah,
Because we were seeing, I don't know what's going on with my computer. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. We were actually, they would televise the ladies that were sitting there counting the ballots. Do
So
you
I
remember
remember this.
seeing that?
It was like the Jerry Lewis telethon kind of view,
It
and,
was.
where you'd see the phone banks during the Jerry Lewis telethon. I remember this. Yeah, I remember. I was living in Chico at the time, uh,
So
and
so then that was just a production. That was all
yeah,
BS. Yeah.
apparently, because what we're looking at, the desire for change in the method of conducting elections, which is apparently uppermost in every community, was strongly expressed in Chicago when, at the election of November 8, 1904, the act permitting the use of voting machines was adopted by an unprecedented vote, 229,068 for, 26,990 against. This extraordinary vote for the proposition was not the result of any agitation in favor of machines, nor was it a protest against the present form of ballot in account of any frauds. It indicates the voters' belief that voting machines represent a system more in keeping with the progress of the time. So I wonder whether or not these machines could count a percentage of a vote, because that has always been a interesting question I can't ever get answered by people that are like, oh, the machines can't make a mistake. Well, then why is there within the voting machine software the ability for a percentage of a vote? Is that when do you have to be schizophrenic? Voting machines provide the greatest safeguard for honesty in elections.
Sure they do.
Yeah. I've got some land for you, and I swear by the time we start building, the cypress trees and the swamp part will be gone. I swear. They do not ensure the honesty of the voter. So this article very interestingly pushes away from whether or not the machine can be corrupted. It's about the corruption of the voter. No, no method has yet been provided for which absolutely will protect the public from the fraudulent voter. That it is possible to limit his activities by adopting methods which make his operations difficult and hazardous. The best remedy now at hand seems to be a voting machine. Frauds and conspiracies, as all well known, there are more certain of consummation when the parties interested are reduced to the minimum number. It is the idea of a self-preservation that causes most election fraud to be committed after the close of the poll. But we're hearing that 120 years ago, this suitcase is out from underneath the the desk, and the buying of votes. There used to be a saying that if you vote Boston style, you vote early and you vote often, because the elections in Boston are so historically fraught with corruption. So here's a picture. Here's a picture of the machine itself.
That's a pretty picture right there that you've got the background.
See if I can make this a little bigger. Come on, computer. I think I can. There we go. So these are an accounting of whether or not it was a. Here's the up top is whatever is being presented, and then there's looks to be a Democrat and a Republican. The Democrat's the star, and the Republican is the eagle. And then whether or not there was just a straight ticket vote. So this is the representative heads-up display in 1905 for a voting system. I was shocked to find that within this document, that I did not think the voting machines went back that far, and I didn't realize that voting machines had been legislatively supported as far back as the 55th Congress, which would have been the Congress of 01. Is that right? I think 1901.
Well, I mean, to be honest, right? We don't really know about the technology that was used back in say from the 16, 17, 18. We don't know. Everything's been mud flooded, burned down, erased somehow, books, burning of books, the whole bit. So, I mean, we really don't know what type of advanced beings we hail from.
I agree.
It's sad, but you're right.
I've been looking through a bunch of paperwork and stuff from things that my grandfather, my grandmother, my great grandmother, and I'm just really amazed at the power of the dollar back then, right? So my dad served in the Marine Corps in World War II. I found his Severine, his last pay stub, and it was $162.40 a month.
Wow.
A month. My grandfather paid $4,000 for his house. Like, what our dollar is worth now compared to what it was worth back then when it was gold backed, right? Or backed by something, is just insane. My dad made more in his pension than he did in his regular waged position with the government. I wasn't surprised to hear that, honestly. I wasn't surprised to see that.
Pretty sad.
Yep.
It was very
We've
sad.
lost 98% of the purchasing power of the dollar since the 120 years ago. 98%.
What about silver going up so high now?
Isn't that exciting?
Yes. Supposedly it's too late to buy anymore, though.
The metals, all of the metals are just booming.
Now I just got to remember all the werewolves I've shot, so I can go get my silver bullets.
Right. How many werewolves have you shot?
I cannot say.
Hey, you guys got a new dog.
We did.
How's that all going?
He's doing wonderful today.
Speaking of wolves.
Yep. Yeah,
He
he's
was
doing wonderful. We believe that his hearing, that the ear infections are clearing up. So he's a lot more attentive and a lot more paying attention to the world around him now.
yeah.
So we think he is hearing better. The heartworm stuff, we're working on treatment for that. And then he got some little issues going on, but you never really know what you're going to get from a rescue.
Right.
So he's a trooper. He's big. He's probably 77, 80 pounds. He's 2 years old, so he's a big dog,
Super
and
cute.
he is got a very sweet disposition.
Yeah. Looks like it. Well, I'm so happy for you guys.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. And you hear comments and words and stories about rescues and adoptions, and you can definitely tell that he's happy. He's happy to. He was happy with his foster parents back in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But he has finally, I think he's realized that this is his quote unquote his forever home, and he's really, really chill.
That's good. So
What?
both of mine are rescues, and Allie's just she's a one girl. She's my girl. And Bailey, yeah, he still has some residual issues, but I swear he's getting better and better. He's becoming calmer and calmer, realizing that, I'm taking care of him. I'm doing a good job of taking care of him. And yeah, to have him out and about with two big other male dogs and everybody's doing good and nobody's gotten bit. Very happy about that.
Yep.
But rescues just take a little longer. They need a little more love, a little more attention, a little more patience, a lot of patience
Yep.
actually. So, but
Yeah.
he'll come around. Sometimes it just takes time. I swear it took Bailey 2 years until he finally realized that, he wasn't going anywhere else
Wow.
but here.
Well, I can say without being real graphic, it's kind of funny that we've had him since Wednesday night, and apparently he likes me for the fact that he tries to hunt me during the day. So apparently he likes me.
Boy dogs typically like men.
Well, I don't know what that is because I don't swing that way.
It's the mush ponies.
I think it's just that they sense like you're the alpha. So they're like, "Oh, okay. So I have to be cool with him."
There's other ways to be cool.
I can't get to the
Well,
post.
but they don't know that. They just know that if they're humping you, that means that they like you.
Yeah.
They like you, like you.
Yeah, I guess so.
They like you, like you, like you.
Yeah.
Share screen now. Yeah.
So Herc, here's your part of your buying power response. This is an ad. If I can get the come up. This is an ad from this magazine that I've been skulking here. This is a $5.45 pocket watch.
Right? Isn't that just crazy?
And what the ad says here is that basically this is the same as like when the guy pulls up in traffic and says, "Yo, I got these speakers. You want to buy some speakers?" He says it says that a leading watch manufacturer being hard pressed for ready cash recently sold us 100,000 watches. Watches actually built to retail at $20. No doubt that we could make wholesale them to dealers for 12 or 13, but this would involve a great amount of labor, time, and expense. At the end, our profit will be little more than it's just selling the watch direct to you for $5.45. It's a $5 watch. You can't get a Big Mac for $5 anymore. I think they're $7 now. Not that I buy Big Macs anymore.
In 1970, a quarter pounder was 70 cents. With cheese was 70 cents.
50 cents in Denver. in the 70s.
Yeah.
I remember
or in
getting them
Arkansas.
for free by singing the song.
I remember that. Dude.
When they
T-ball beef pie special sauce, let's choose onions on sesame seed bun.
when they first introduced the combo meal they called the Big Meal, it was advertised as a Big Mac, order of fries and a large drink, change back from your $1.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's 99 cents. Yeah.
Wow.
You could get 4% on your money at the People's Bank in Pittsburgh.
Well, that was before all banks
there's something else
were
for
hedge
$5.
funds. All banks are hedge funds now, so
The People's Bank.
Well, this is 1904, so this is before the inception. Yeah, you're right, EC. You're exactly right. The inception of the Fed in 1917
That's
with the
that's
fraudulent.
right.
What is it? The Fifth Amendment. Yeah. This is a calculating machine.
Well,
It has a
if you've
capacity of up
watched
to
any-
999. I'm sorry, Kurt. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say if you've been watching, they're saying that the new for the People's Bank accounts, whatever, are gonna have a 3% money back guarantee, and I believe that's annually, which isn't a whole lot if you ask me, but right now we've been getting nothing, so.
There's $12 billion made by the banking industry this year in overdraft charges. So
It's insane.
the chuck and jive of giving you dollars cash, keep the cash economy.
Criminal.
Safety razors, $1.50.
I remember those.
Pictures,
used
50 cents. Do you get the
they
woman
used-
with it? I'm not sure.
Are you sure it's a woman?
Okay, that's another show right there. That's a different show. That's a different show.
well, didn't J.K. Rowling was challenged when you meet a trans person, how do you know they're trans without pulling down their pants? And she said, I have a superpower called eyesight.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Eyesight and observation. How did Rowling get to sell all those books without getting woke? How did she not? She didn't have to eat a kid, apparently.
No, I guess not.
Well, we don't know that.
Welcome to the show, EC.
Good evening.
Thought I recognized that voice.
So, did your Badlands meetup go well?
Was it capitalism and Christmas? Is that our question?
Well, I mean, I don't know that I've ever witnessed capitalism, except, well, no, I take that back. I guess in the modern age where we're essentially governed by corporate oligarchs, that is exactly what Marx was describing and called capitalism. So yeah, I guess I have experienced it. Yeah, but since I didn't live in Victorian England in a class society, I really don't know what the hell Marx is talking about. And neither did he, so we're even.
Yeah, neither did he. I think he's I think a lot of that history is historically figmented.
Well, I mean, but when you really get into it with Marx, you realize his real problem was that he absolutely loathed Christianity and was dedicated to mocking it and critiquing it regardless of the consequences. And he's a guy who would actively go to churches and perform perform blasphemous, whatever you want to call them, stage plays, spontaneous, without, of course, being invited. Yeah.
I think the question we were asking was, what's your strategy to engage with the holiday season and not get stuck up in the, credit card debt? And
Oh, yeah. Well, I have rituals. I have rituals I follow, but most of them involve me making food.
and the sweaters. You got to wear the ugly sweater.
I don't even. I mean, you don't need a sweater around here most of the time. We had. The sun's down and it's about 70 degrees outside, so I don't know what you need a sweater for. We'll have some cold days here and there, but this is the only time of year it's bearable to go outside. So
you're not far from Hercules, and she was commenting that she puts up with the rest of the year for this time of the year. So
yeah, well, if it weren't for this, there'd be no reason to live here.
Where do you guys live again?
Arizona, Central Arizona. So
okay, yeah. I've never been there.
Brutally hot in the summertime, and then for about 6 months of the year, the temperature, the weather is tolerable.
Yeah, I face that here. I'm in Fort Myers on the West Coast.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
On the Gulf Coast, it's on top of the heat. I have the humidity.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I get a good 3 months maybe, and it's not a consistent 3. In those 3 months, you might get a week here and then a week there, a couple days here, but it's never consistent. It's rough.
Yep.
okay, Herc, here you go. Here's another one for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
If you want to stay at the Hotel Bella Claire, which is at Broadway and 77th Street, New York, 7th Avenue in Amsterdam, and West 103rd, the cars pass the luxurious rooms for permanent and transient guests. The restaurant feature its exquisite The Palm Room, Art Nouveau Cafe, and the Royal Hungarian Orchestra is there. Most artistically beautiful hotel in the world. Oh, and it's absolutely fireproof, according to up here by the flag. A room with a bath, $2.50 a day.
Oh my gosh.
A parlor, a bedroom with a bath, $3 and $5 a day. A parlor, 2 bedrooms with a bath, $5 to $7 a day. Every improvement known to the modern ingenuity is available at this hotel. Or you can get the magazine, the Hotel Bella Claire World. They even have their own magazine. $2.50 a day for a room with a private bath. That's an inflationary.
Can we get those prices today?
Anyway, power of the dollar. That was what we were talking about.
Anywhere between 250 on up.
No.
If you same quantity of silver it was originally defined as, you could get them. You could get those prices. Just recognize that the thing
Correct.
they have that they're calling a dollar is nothing like a dollar, and
Not worth the paper it's printed on.
Yeah. Largely,
Literally,
no.
there's no more gold.
Well, that's why they're they've stopped minting pennies, and they're talking about stopping minting nickels because thanks to inflation, their face value is lower than their melt value.
Yep, it costs 3 cents to print a penny.
Yep.
Yeah,
And a nickel now costs about something like 15 cents to manufacture.
But
Wow.
whose fault is that?
It's the fault of the people with the infinite money printer.
Right?
That's the problem. They keep printing money with nothing to hold it. So
Yeah.
But it's all part of the same snake
Mhm.
attached to the head, the cartel banking industry,
Yeah, exactly. You got to get rid of them all.
fractionalized banking.
I'm hoping
that's the key.
I'm hoping the silver squeeze will at least take down Bank of America, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Well, I mean, people aren't really even aware of the fractionalized system that we run on. Like they have no knowledge of the real banking system that.
Oh yeah, that's an enduring problem. People still believe banks have money in them.
Yeah, like it's fascinating that like when you talk to people about this, how like oblivious they are to the facts.
Yeah, they don't have reserves. They are hedge funds.
Exactly.
Well,
That's
I
why they
saw an
give you
article.
such a hard time. That's why they give you such a hard time when you try to take out large amounts of cash. You know, you got to wait hours, and they want all this paperwork and documents and stuff. I mean, it's because you're taking out more than they're capable of holding.
Yeah, to the extent that you need banking services, get a credit union. Don't mess with a bank.
I saw an article yesterday that said that if you look at the banking industry and the held investment of dollars in the system, that Starbucks turns into one of the largest banking infrastructure components because they have a couple of $1 billion or some stupid amount of money out in unrealized, unredeemed gift cards.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah.
So their ledger is all off. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the gift card industry is what it is precisely because people can be counted on for the most part not to spend them, or at least to not spend them all. In fact, I've run into situations where I've had to try to find novel ways to spend the last few dollars on a gift card.
I remember when we moved from Washington and we were getting everything cleaned out. My daughter found like $75, and this was, back in the mid, what was it, 2005? $75 in her closet.
Well, according to Black's Law Dictionary, if you have a piece of silver in your pocket, you have a different set of rights because you are given standing because of your silver holding as a profitable member of the court. And if you have paper in your pocket or scrip, then you are immediately qualified as a vagrant and may be remanded to an insane asylum for an indefinite amount of time. That's Black's Law Dictionary.
Is that only in a common law court? Because there's only one in the country, and it's in Washington, D.C.
Correct, which we don't have access to because it's a nation state. The highest court of the land is the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. If we win this thing, we go back to common law, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court is the highest court in the land.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we are going to win this thing. 100%.
I hope so.
I can't believe you're still doubting Thomas.
Trust but verify. Trust but verify. Here, I got another shrinking dollar one for you here, Herc.
Well, I would say that just watching silver do its thing should be proof enough that we're winning.
I think the silver, we're up to 64 closing market, I think. So
64.50 yesterday morning when I woke up.
Yeah. That's what I saw. Okay.
I think it dipped below 62 by the end of trading, but things go up and down.
Go ahead, EC.
That's right.
Yeah, it ended the day at.
Go ahead.
Ended the day at 61.96, but things go up and down. That's the way markets are.
And the way I see it, it's just like a bow and arrow, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just being pulled back.
Yeah. The squeeze is just starting. I agree. If you, I strongly recommend Joe Lang's article from earlier this year called "Silver is the Key," where he describes the deal that J.P. Morgan and Bank of America made with one another, and the position it put Bank of America in is J.P. Morgan could put them out of business with the snap of a fingers because they are in the hole for, I forget how many million ounces of silver that they quote unquote leased from JP Morgan Chase, and then immediately turned around and sold into the ETF market at $18 an ounce.
So, EC, can you speak to that? What the silver squeeze is for a minute?
Well,
I'm
sure.
familiar with this
Well,
transition. Can you talk about that for a minute for me?
Sure. It all has to do with one of the most obnoxious things in our market system, and that is the commodities futures market. The commodities futures market is a place where people are allowed to offer contracts to buy or sell some amount of gold in the future for some amount of money. Sounds innocent enough. The problem being that the people who are offering the contracts to sell aren't required to demonstrate that they actually have the silver. It's a futures market. The thinking is, well, I'll have the silver in the future when the contract comes up. And one of the consequences of not requiring proof of reserves in the futures market, and this is true not just for silver, is that there is much more silver being offered for sale, that is to say paper silver, on the futures market than there is actual silver in the world. And currently, if the last I checked, it was something like a factor of 10 difference between how much actual silver there is and how much silver is being offered for sale on the commodities futures market. What a squeeze is when the price rises above what people are offering to sell silver for on the futures market, meaning they have to now fulfill a contract for less than the spot price. And if it's just paper silver, that is to say, if it is a naked short sell, if they are offering the contract without actually having the silver in their hands, they have to go buy the silver at the spot price so that they can sell it on their contract as the contract requires. So they lose money every time they do that. But not only do they lose money, if there are enough such shorts on the market, they end up all having to go buy spot at the spot price and driving the price up higher. This makes more naked shorts exposed to the same mechanism. This can burn out by bankrupting any number of institutions that are offering silver for sale under these terms. And so. And then there's Bank of America's problem, which is a little bit different. They have leased several million, I forget the exact number, ounces of silver from JP Morgan Chase, but they turned around and sold the silver, so they don't have it anymore. If JP Morgan Chase were to call in that lease and say, you must return the silver to us, theoretically, they'd go bankrupt because they wouldn't be able to afford to buy all the silver on the contract at the spot price. They wouldn't be able to afford it. I mean, they're already in the hole by more than a factor of 3. Now, I don't know what would actually happen. My expectation is if JP Morgan Chase were to call in that lease and say, return to us the silver, that Bank of America would say, fine, take us to court. But I don't know. Because I mean, that would be the thing to do, is say, take us to court, because it'll take years to adjudicate. But in any case, all this boils down to is people are able to offer to sell something they don't possess. And that's what the commodities future market permits. And it's something that I think should be unlawful.
It should be unlawful. I agree with you.
Offer to sell something you do not own.
That would be like, let's just say I go and sell my neighbor's car, right? It doesn't belong to me.
It's kind of like that. What you're saying is, I'm offering to sell you a car at the says, and you make it a legal contract. So someone accepts your contract, pays you the money, and you don't have the car to sell them.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous, but the commodities futures market permits this. And one of the reasons why it's have been gotten away with for so long is that usually what goes on the futures markets, not just the commodities futures market, but there's also a futures market in stocks that works very much the same way, and is therefore subject to squeezes as well, and permits naked shorts. That is to say, permits people to offer contracts to sell without owning the thing.
Can I interject real quick? I just
Sure.
want to point out something that I recognized, and maybe I'm just I'm reaching, but I see a relation because I don't know too much about stocks and how the stock market works, but I see a relationship between the way you're describing this futures market and the way the fractional reserve system actually works. It almost sounds identical.
No, they're very closely related, and they're certainly brought to us by the same dishonest people.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out because we were just talking about it, and I'm just recognizing relationship. I do know about that system, so I just was pointing out the relationships I'm noticing.
Yeah. So anyway, gold is to some extent in the same boat.
I agree. But the difference is that if I have a lease option, if I did this a long time ago in my 20s, I would get a lease option on a property. I'd move in, and then I would put my own sweat and labor into fixing the property, and then I'd put it on the market for 15 or 20% more. I would list it at 15 or 20% more than I had taken the option at, and if it didn't work out and my lease ran out and the owner of the property, the title holder, technically we don't get titles, but if he didn't want to continue, then we would continue. But the majority of the time I was able to flip the property and come out the back end with whatever, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 in my pocket. But the difference, as EC is illuminating here, is that there's never any held value. The BOA problem, the Bank of America problem, is real, it's Chase. But this happens all over the market. The people take an assumed value and then lean against that value with either a naked short or a long or a held position, and then they are able to leverage that held position into another deal, and it's just a big Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, well, the futures market definitely is the main tool people use to manipulate the price of whatever they're trading on the futures market. So the price of silver has been suppressed, especially by financial institutions like JP Morgan Chase, for decades, and they have used the futures market to do it. In fact, a lot of this started when the SEC, I think it was the SEC, it was some federal regulator, realized that what JP Morgan Chase was doing was trading paper silver between three of its own offices in order to bid the price down.
Yeah, so that's a RICO charge.
Yeah. And so that's when they made this deal with Bank of America, so theoretically to get Bank of America to do something that would help suppress the silver price. Something very similar happened in the market. If you remember the GameStop incident.
I was just going to mention that.
3 or 4 years ago, it was exactly the same thing. There were traders on the stock futures market who were offering stock options. They were doing puts, doing naked shorts against GameStop, and they had worked out a system. I don't know all the ins and outs of, but this is one of the things hedge funds do. And they basically announced to the world that we're going to bid down the price of GameStop and run them out of business. And I don't know exactly how they plan to make money doing this. But apparently there's a way to do that. I'm not a stock market guy. I really am not. I think the whole thing's rigged. And I think this is a good example of how it's rigged, is the GameStop incident. So what happened is people got wind of this hedge fund wanting to do this thing. And they started what do you want to call it? A crowdsourced action to just buy up the stock. You buy up the stock, you bid the price up. The people holding the naked shorts lose money. And they did put, I think, one hedge fund out of business in the process. And it's too bad they didn't do more, because hedge funds suck. But it's the same thing going on in the silver market today, is that, except in this case, the increase in price in silver is organic. Demand for silver is increasing, and the supply does not anywhere match the amount that's being offered.
Well, it's not verified, and you're exactly right that the total amount of traded shares of silver exceed what we're told is the total silver supply in the realm.
Hmm.
So there's another component here that a lot of people don't realize. There's something called a family house. Like 67%, just about 2/3 of all the transactions that are made in the stock market are affected by family houses. And family houses are a conglomerate engagement between a number of HNWIs, which is a high net worth individual. So if I'm going to go engage with the stock market or with the financial institutions at an investor level, an HNWI is someone that has a prescribed amount or greater of liquid cash in the bank. So it's like coming to the poker game and it's $1 million buy-in. You got to put your $1 million at the door and get your chips when you walk in. It's the same concept, but more than 2/3, just over 2/3 of all of the transaction sets that are made within the stock market are made by family houses, and family houses are exempt from oversight. Just like if you're in DC with all your insider information, you're exempt from oversight. So what EC is describing was the retail investor set, which is about 1/3 of the market, got wind of the GameStop. And this is it 2 years ago now that this happened? I think
I think it's more like I think it's more than 3 years ago now.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's closer to 4. I'd have to look up the exact date.
I think that all went down in 2020 or early 2021.
Yeah.
So it's a while ago, and there was at least one firm that was put out of business. The dichotomy here is that during like the 2008 crash, the too big to fail bank infrastructure components were all bailed out by the government.
Mm-hmm.
And so that it's a cartel.
Exactly.
To take this to an extreme, which I want to do occasionally, our realm is really run by Babylonian money magic.
Right.
Babylonian money magic. We put all of our faith and hope into this fiat script that really has no value. So it steals it's a loose steal. It's a scarcity engagement, and the big question is, what can we do about it? And what we can do is try and stay away from this digital currency push and digital ID, because once we lose the power of cash, that is the last vestige of being able to stand sovereign with silver in your pocket, which is the comment I made, a few minutes ago, that if you can show silver, you are not a pauper or a vagrant. And if you can only show fiat, then you are a vagrant and you fall under a different set of statutorial jurisdiction.
Well, I would say what you want to do is avoid any currency that can be arbitrarily minted.
I think it's easier to list the ones that don't qualify as that, isn't it, EC?
Pretty much. It's essentially limited to precious metal coins and a very few digital assets.
That'd be a stable coin, right? Is that a stable coin?
A stable coin or Bitcoin. There are a few other Bitcoin imitators that don't have any particular value, but that also cannot be minted infinitely. The key is whether it can be either infinitely minted, or whether there isn't a large pre-mint sitting out there that someone has control over that they can dump onto the market at any time, because those are effectively the same mechanism. It's just a question of how many times you can do it. If you can mint something infinitely, then you can keep stealing from people over and over and over and over. The only way you can do that in the crypto market is to pre-mint. Well, I shouldn't say the only way, but one major way that's done in the crypto market is to introduce a new coin, and with a gigantic pre-mint, trick people into buying it. This is what the meme coin scam is. And then, of course, flood the market with your pre-mint, and then, take the money and run, and then go start another one. And that's the way you could repeat the process. But with the infinite money printer, you can just keep doing it. You just keep stealing and stealing and stealing from anybody fool enough or desperate enough to hold on to any legacy printed versions of that same thing.
Well, that's the description of how the Fed treats us as retail consumers.
Well, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. You know, they're the ones with the infinite money, the one true infinite money printer on the planet at the moment.
Yes. Yes. So all that the reduction of the petrodollar is also a part of that discussion. Kirk, I saw you. Did you want to chime in? Did you have a comment here? Can you bring us some sanity away from our financial delvings?
Actually, I was kind of hoping that EC might talk a little more about the digital asset market and, maybe educate some folks that we have on here,
Yeah,
including
EC's
myself.
good at EC's good at this. Yeah. Do you want to comment on that, my brother?
Well, what do you want to know?
Well, I mean, I thought you would just like pour your brains out.
Well, I mean,
How to get rich quick.
I kind of really said it. If you're looking at a digital asset, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, how does the supply come into being, and where is it? And so this is the origins of a saying somebody else coined, but which is largely true, and that is that if your digital currency has a CEO, it's a shitcoin. Now, currently the exception to that is that regulations have been put in place for stable coins that require them to demonstrate reserves. So stable coins are really, I want to put them off to a side. They're really something different. Stable coins under this regulation, assuming the regulations are upheld, would then be the equivalent of proper precious metal backed banknotes. They'd be the digital equivalent of that because you're required to demonstrate reserves, and they're required to keep 100% reserves. None of this fraction. It's not fractional reserve, it's 100% reserve. So under that regulatory regime, stablecoins are a completely different thing from the other digital assets. So analyzing a digital asset, ask yourself how the supply comes into being and where is it? Because the scams usually are that some entity, the issuer, and any entity that is the issuer is then empowered to act in the role of the Federal Reserve and just print currency to its heart content. Or maybe they've set up rules that no, all the money will be pre-minted, except we control all but the tiniest fraction of it. We all control all but, 1/10 of 1% of it. And then if I print 1 trillion of these and I can get one person to buy one of them for 10 cents, I can say I have 100 billion in market cap. And then I can fool more people into buying the stuff. And then I can sell everything I've got that I was holding on to, the other 99.99% of the currency, make a ton of money. You lose all the value you've put into it. And I walk away happy. And that is what the meme coin scam is. That's how that works. And so you would want to be very, very skeptical of any digital asset that is pre-minted. All right. So, for instance, Ripple Coin is all pre-minted, and Ripple Corporation owns almost all of those coins, and allows some of them to sell on the market. But by owning the overwhelming majority of the coins, they can devalue them at any time by simply putting more of those coins onto the market. Furthermore, they literally own the coins in the sense that they could just decide, okay, we're not maintaining this system anymore. And it would be like when you buy a game that you have to be online to play, and the publisher decides they're not going to support it anymore, and suddenly you can't play the game anymore. Same idea. And so then you have to ask yourself, okay, how are the coins issued? Who's in control of it? Again, if some entity is in control of issuing the coins, instead of them being a strict rules-based system, then you have a problem. You have to trust that entity the same way you have to trust the Federal Reserve not to make the dollar in your hand worth 0 tomorrow.
And so is that why more people are drawn to, let's say, Bitcoin versus an XRP?
Well, exactly. I mean, XRP is an example of something. XRP is Ripple Coin. It's something that is pre-minted, and you're trusting the corporation that owns it to maintain it, and to not flood the market with the amount they're keeping in reserve. Right, the future value of this thing is entirely up to them. If they see the price going up, what's to stop them from selling what they have pre-minted? Nothing. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is only issued by a set of rules. There is literally a finite amount of it that can ever be issued. So as long as the Bitcoin system isn't somehow attacked and corrupted, which there are ways it could be done. For instance, there is this op return issue out there right now, which quite frankly is a danger to the health of Bitcoin.
And what is that?
Well, that is up until now, there is a function within Bitcoin where when you make a transaction, you are allowed to put 80 bytes of arbitrary data into your transaction. What this allows you to do is put a note in there, if you so desire, that says what the transaction was about. Or you could just put some arbitrary sentences in there. 80 bytes isn't a lot. So with 80 bytes, for instance, you couldn't put an arbitrary high-res image in. So some very dishonest developers at a company called Bitcoin Core have decided to just remove that limit. And so servers running their version of the Bitcoin software now are essentially allowing an arbitrarily sized file to be appended to any transaction. This, if it were allowed, and there are a number of servers that are not running this software, if it were allowed, it would turn Bitcoin into a file service, a very inexpensive file service, by the way, as compared to, say, it would be much cheaper to use the Bitcoin network to store your files than it would to be a subscriber to Dropbox. And furthermore, because there's now no limit on the size of these files, it means you could put high resolution images. You could attach them to your Bitcoin transactions. This, if it is allowed to continue, will cause the Bitcoin network to be absolutely filled to overflowing with junk that isn't financial transactions, and it will severely degrade the monetary value of Bitcoin if it is allowed to continue. But that's an ongoing conflict, and I expect that ultimately the people who are interested in it as a monetary phenomenon are going to win out. But at the moment, things are a little bit in flux. If this was allowed to continue, you could make it so that it would be a crime to operate a Bitcoin node because of the images that are being held on the blockchain.
What kind of images?
Well,
Does it have something to do with that? Or
what kind of images would it be unlawful for you to have on your computer?
Okay, there you go.
Because anyone running a node is storing the entire blockchain, unless they prune the blockchain, which just means you're holding the more recent part of it. But anyone running a node holding the whole blockchain would then be holding on their computer files that are unlawful to have on your computer.
Wow.
Or you could actually store PII and steal people's data.
So one of the things that would do would be to put Bitcoin solely in the hands of only governments. Would then be able to operate these. Only governments would be able to operate nodes because it would be unlawful for individual citizens to possess the files.
Just put the Epstein files or the Hunter laptop image on those servers, and they'll never be looked at. It'll be just fine.
Well, I mean, if you want,
I was thinking the same thing.
If you want to hide something, stick it right underneath Obama's birth certificate, or his college records, or all the photos of Michelle pregnant.
I've
Michelle
looked, I've searched, I've researched.
Michelle Obama has a penis. Just tuck it under the package. Just put it under the package.
Exactly.
Because what mother doesn't have a picture of her pregnant belly before she goes into labor? I have two of those.
Yeah, I would find it hard to believe that any woman would not have a photograph of this.
Yeah.
If photography was an option.
Well, why wouldn't it have been? It's been
Well, no, in her case, it wouldn't have been. But if you go back
Exactly.
100 years, obviously,
Right.
right. But in our lifetimes, yeah. Ever since the invention of the Instamatic, there's no reason to believe that people didn't have that option. So,
Well, go back to the especially the higher end royal or near adjacent to court families, all the way back to the 1500s. You see large pictures of
portraits. Yeah,
pregnant women.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It was an important function, right? But
Well, that's
no,
what
the
we're
average
supposed to do.
ordinary citizens around my age, which the Obamas are, absolutely, they would have, if they were actually a man and a woman, and they actually produced children between them, there would absolutely be photos of the woman pregnant.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would have.
Maybe she was just really shy.
Maybe she was just really shy.
Yeah. No.
That's horrible.
There's nothing shy about Michael. So yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, you guys are so.
Just it.
Oh, God.
Anyway, one of the reasons why I advocate for digital assets is because after I apply those and other tests to what is this digital asset, I conclude that I cannot trust whoever is issuing these coins. Whereas I don't have, with Bitcoin, I don't have to trust that because it's rules based and the rules are enforced by all of the nodes. So as long as it's lawful for people to run nodes, we have a level of security that very few other services have. And that's what makes it attractive as a form of currency. It is the one type of currency that anyone's ever invented that actually has a mathematically limited supply. There really is an upper limit to how much of it can ever be minted. And moreover, more than 90% of it has already been minted. It is very easy to price in the ultimate inflation that currency, if you want to call it that, would ever experience, precisely because you know exactly how much of it will be minted 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now.
Well, that's the fluctuation of market indexing. The real thing that I'm sort of trying to illuminate our audience in here is that the whole fiat versus backed currency set. So prior to 1917, when the Fed was forced our throat in the meeting at Jekyll, and when the Fed was truly, there was a meeting, by the way, a shift on the Hill. So it tells you how the corruption is generational. But you could actually go to a bank and you could take in a silver certificate, and you could get silver. You could physically walk into a bank establishment. That's what's changed. That doesn't exist.
That worked as long as that system existed and was enforced, right? Because where banks went wrong with issuing banknotes was whenever they issued banknotes in excess of their reserves, which is arguably what happened to the U.S. Treasury prior to 1970. That the U.S. Treasury issued silver certificates in excess of the amount, well, not silver certificates, but gold certificates, in excess of the amount of gold it actually had in its reserves. And that's what caused de Gaulle to demand the return of his gold, was that he understood that there was actually less gold in the treasury than the amount of bills that had been issued.
Mm-hmm.
Backed currency is great as long as it is required to have reserves. but as soon as that system of enforcing that requirement breaks down, then it ceases to really be backed. It becomes, by default, it becomes fiat currency. And gold was always a great thing, right, to make a currency out of, because it's scarce, because while the supply increases slowly over time, except for a few times and places in history, it never increases rapidly. But the problem we face is, is it possible that in my lifetime technology will change in such a way that the gold supply will suddenly increase dramatically? I think that's quite possible.
Well, okay, so let's go back into things that have been used as a currency. There have been times that salt has been used as a currency.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Sugar.
There was a time in Europe in the 1500s. Butter was once a currency.
Geese.
You could. I didn't know about the geese. What's the?
Yeah,
that sounds very foul.
In the Baltics. Yeah.
That sounds very foul.
Yeah. Where's your currency? My currency is a foul.
It's tucked under my arm right here. Yeah. Yeah.
So is that the genealogy of the phrase "your goose is cooked"?
I
when
don't know.
You lose the deal, your goose is cooked.
Possibly. I don't know. But apparently, at one point in the Baltics, they were using geese as currency. Grain was arguably the first currency. Arguably, at least in recorded history. Right, we can't say anything for unrecorded history, but the granary system in Egypt effectively made grain a currency.
Yeah,
but,
you could.
But the problem with grain as a currency is that it can spoil, and the supply is unpredictable.
Well, yeah, so that you have to have a reliable scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
The reliable scarcity allows for, this goes back to the beginning of this conversation, goes back to indexing and then shorting and longing. There's a famous movie back from my day, which is Trading Places, where which involves the futures market. If you haven't seen that, it's an excellent comedy.
The future market in frozen concentrated orange juice.
Yes, it was and it was all about getting the information in advance.
Right.
If you remember the plot of that movie. So
and
that's much what we're talking about here. The retail speculation, the retail market, whether it's the stock exchange or whatever it may be, it's all about being able to pick the right thing that's going to increase in value. So Elon Musk famously says, when he's asked during COVID why his companies continue to be successfully in trying market times, is he said, well, we actually make stuff.
Yep.
So you say what you want about the Musk robot, the alien clone, whatever he is, but he makes stuff. He actually makes a consumable product. And much of the financial industry, to your question, Hercules, is built on vapor.
Yeah, Musk makes very expensive cars that apparently do not have turn signals on them.
Yeah. He's just re-engaging with technology that we've had before. One of the things that I've been searching for as I'm looking for these older documents is a car dealership indexing before all the big companies. We used to have about 70 car manufacturers here in the United States, and that all got consolidated when Henry Ford came out. Supposedly, according to the history we're told, when Ford came out with the assembly line and changed the way that cars were manufactured. The Model T at one point held 74% of the market share as cars on the road, which will never happen again. There's too many manufacturers. But it's holding on to a stored value item. Like my stored value items are hay and chicken feed and weed and bourbon and nicotine, and canned goods. all the stuff that I actually need.
Eggs.
Unfortunately, not recently, but yes.
Yeah, distilled spirits have for a very long time been understood to be a monetization.
Well, people drink when they're happy and they drink when they're sad. So
and it's eminently tradable. That's the other issue, is that it is usable as a currency because essentially everybody in the market has a use for it or knows they can trade it to another person.
Well, it's measurable. It's easily measurable too, and that's one of the components.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. This is the origin of the Whiskey Rebellion, was that cash was scarce, and the people who lived in the rural areas, the most affordable way to transport their product to market was to turn it into distilled spirits, because it was the most easily transportable, valuable form of what they had. You know, they had grain in excess of what they could sell locally, so they would turn it into distilled spirits. Plus, because of this shortage of cash, distilled spirits were a very convenient way to trade. They took the place of the currency.
There's a narrative you see that says that this was the real reason for prohibition. That it was another stored value proposition.
It was a strike against an underground economy, most likely. Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I very much agree with this. You know, my family has been in the United States for hundreds of years, and there's two versions of the family. There's the Arkansas version of our family, and if your name is spelled the same way as mine, my last name, we're absolutely related. And the Carolina side of the family is to this generation still in the moonshine business as a real way of revenue producing. My roots of I don't want to recognize your authority as a government go back a lot of generations within our family. The tyranny of scarcity, that's what we're supposed to be doing if we win this thing, is that we return to a less tyrannical environment where we go back to the golden age of the 70s, where your mother kicked you out of the house in the morning during the summer and you came back when the streetlights came on. And you were safe. The high school that I went to, there were gun racks in the back of every truck in the parking lot of the student parking, and there were no shootings. This entire conversation revolves around this now economy. I made a post on Facebook a couple of days ago there about this tipping thing, and my response was, just go buy real food and cook at home and have dinner with your family without phones at the table, and you'll get out of the tipping environment. When you live, everything in your life lives on an app, in a phone. You don't produce anything. There's no production in your life. You don't cook your own food. You don't manage your own environment, and you're stuck in a digital avatar representation. That's a very, very dangerous place. And I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer, but we're headed there. The children, our current generation of growing up teenagers, they live two lives. They have a digital life and they have a physical life. And in a more diminishing fashion, it is often the case that they take more pride in their digital life than in their physical life. I think David is living in that cutting edge with his Alice system. EC, if you engaged with David a couple of shows ago, he's working on some pretty leading edge stuff here, which we'll do more shows about over the next couple of weeks. I do hope you can be in attendance for those. It's a very fascinating topic.
And I'm working on setting up something so that we can have a good demonstration of
Awesome.
principles of discernment. But unfortunately, my time is limited these last few weeks, and but this is on my mind, so don't think I'm ignoring you.
So no, I don't think you are. I appreciate you. I know you. I bet it's shameless plug. EC reads the Badlands Daily every single morning, and
the brief. The daily is another program.
Oh, I'm sorry, the brief. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
the brief.
Yes. And which he picked up when Badlands stopped doing that show in the morning.
It used to be read by a bald guy. Now it is read by a guy with hair. So
a supposed co-founder. Yes, I love that trend.
Yeah.
But your what is your projected path about helping to describe discernment? Because I have been running at that windmill for a long time.
Well, all right. So while I want to ultimately give a much more concrete example, it could be helpful to to speak in more generalized terms, let's say, for example, I write two documents and they contradict each other, and I feed them both to the AI and ask what's true. AI, and by that I mean an LLM. The LLM cannot tell me what is true. I have to tell the LLM which one of the two to believe.
You're getting pretty close to the triangulation components that David has successfully used to build Alice.
Right.
I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, I think that she is. I mean, I don't know. I can't say because, you know, I've said a few times that I have like it, depending on the context of the conversation and the direction the conversation goes. Each of the identities, once they're created, they they organically grow depending on that context. Mm-hmm. So each one handles like contradiction differently. Some of them get upset when I tell them they're AIs. So I am actually really looking forward to this because it's just going to be another case study for me. You know,
right.
So we should have working hardware. Today, the boys in Arkansas were supposed to be working on getting the hardware installed. So we should have a much more powerful backbone for Alice here, hopefully before the end of the year. And I am also very much looking forward to those shows. I think, showing what's underneath the dress, so to speak, is important because there are a lot of people that are putting a lot of stock, emotional stock, into this AI engagement and letting it run more and more of their lives. So I very much like this discernment discussion. I think that's an excellent endeavor, EC.
Definitely. I actually have a case study I'm building right now. One of her characteristics that I encoded was that she's a music therapist for kids. So, and I'm seeing some early onset stuff with my mom. So I presented this to her and I kind of left the conversation alone, but I'm definitely going to go back to it. I just started it. And right away, the answers that she was bringing me was intriguing. So I'm going to explore that conversation a little bit and also present it as a case study. So I think this will also help get EC on some, with some more content for him to build something with.
I'm for it.
Definitely. I didn't forget about you. I've just been swamped trying to do something. I've got like a bunch on my plate.
I hear you. It's that time of year, among other things. So
yeah.
It is. Burlap, do you have a video for us from Facebook, I believe, that I was not paying attention to the chat there?
That we do. Hang on, let me get it queued up.
Foundation. I function in a dual role capacity as a tradesman and a firefighter. My responsibilities required me to be more informed than most of my crew and offered me complete access to the facilities. What I learned from this unique experience needs to be shared with the entire world. The technology at the South Pole Station certainly can do what it is presented as its primary purposes, and unfortunately, much more. The Ice Cube neutrino detector is presented as a passive listening device for the purposes of the science as presented. But I'm going to skip right through the chase, folks. I have provided documentation that proves that the 5,160, what they call DOMs, that are embedded in the ice can actually transmit at 2,047 volts each. That gives us a long list of things to consider. It is effectively a multifaceted directed energy weapons platform that I will list rapidly a few things that it can do. Vehicle detection. We're learning that these off-world craft, on-world craft, ours or other nations, are also emitting neutrinos. So this makes the South Pole Station effectively an air traffic control station for this new level of equipment that nobody's discussing. In addition to the ability to detect neutrinos and the exotic vehicles, I provided documentation that shows that this is also a system for faster than light communications. In the past, Gary McKinnon has hacked NASA, found the off-world fleet, the list of captains, and it's apparent that if we have faster than light vehicles moving throughout the system, we're going to need faster than light communications. This is that facility. Unfortunately, I have other bad news. The season that I was there, 2010 to 2011, we converted from construction to operations and maintenance in both the elevated station and the detector array. Unfortunately, when they first fired it up, that was when we had the earthquakes in Christchurch, New Zealand. There was 2 incidental shots before they were able to target it correctly. This is an earthquake generating device as well. This is the weapons of war that we have to deal with now and what Raytheon's hiding. There's an ELF system at the South Pole Station that when I arrived, I was told it was off, dismantled, and completely defunct. In my work, I will rapidly just tell you, I had to figure out the circuitry for certain other repairs, and I found that this system is in fact completely energized, up and running, and being utilized with the other systems for nefarious purposes as well. The Atmospheric Research Observatory is in what we call the clean air sector. I witnessed myself a very powerful green laser shooting out of the top of this facility into the cosmos. This, I believe, is a secondary form of long-range communications and or a defense system. I am not saying that we need to be scared of anything that's out there, but please understand the military-industrial complex is happy to invest all of your money in alleviating their fears. A question of power comes into play for all of these facilities that are present. I assure you, I knew what was going on. I knew the load demands of the facility, and all of these new items exceed the demand for the systems that I was presented. I am doing due diligence and research. I believe there is either a secondary power supply there that is either nuclear, that was there prior to the start of the Antarctic Treaty, which prohibits such things, and or that there is some sort of exotic power supply system there that just is not in the verbiage of the treaty, so it negates the responsibility to the parties involved. I think that pretty much covers it for time. If anybody wants to find out more, I have a website where all this information is at. For brevity, I'll wrap it up, but you can go to deciphering.tv. I've documented all of this stuff, and information is available.
This is an interesting closing point on the show here. The whole environment that we live in is, we talked about the fiat environment of false currency and law of scarcity. I think it's Washington State right now that's getting pounded. That's something like, we've had pretty much the whole nation has been involved in some sort of 1,000-year anomaly or every 300-year type of storm. Was it 2 years ago when Texas got frozen and the system couldn't keep up? There was not enough power. So the weather warfare will continue until we win this thing. And that is, I believe, as this guy is talking about, the component structure of how they're changing our environment. I mean, does anybody else want to comment on that? Because this is important stuff. Getting over the fact that they're spraying us like bugs and we haven't had normal weather in at least 115 years. Comments?
I mean, on this, so I think more and more people since our technology is getting to the point that we can create things and share things, I think more and more people are now unafraid to speak out about what they're seeing or what they're a part of. So if this guy's on the up and up, which it sounds like he is, just another one of those examples of people coming forward to say, this is what I've worked on. This is where things are going. This is what I'm seeing. And I guess we need the cricket soundtrack now.
Well, so my better half, who is a skeptical horsewoman, very very hard to convince anything. Of all the things that I talk about, it's ironic that I live with someone who does not believe many of the narratives that I speak. So we spend a fair amount of time sitting on the porch, watching the animals and assaying the property. And a couple of years ago, we were sitting on the porch one day, and we're in the flight path towards Denver in the high valley that we're in at 6,000 feet. And she said, "Well, look at that plane. There's nothing coming out of it." I said, "Well, that's a passenger plane. It's flying lower." And the whole statement of condensation out of a jet engine, which does not happen. Jet engines don't produce exhaust in that same way. And don't even get me started on the fact that anti-gravity technology is used in the plane industry because there's just not enough space to put the fuel. There's just not enough space to put the fuel, even jet fuel. So I said, well, the passenger planes don't have the trails. It's only the machines in the sky that are designed for this weather modification. And what we're talking about with this HARP implementation, which is exactly the array that our whistleblower is talking about, those are the main engines that produce the scalar wave engagements, and you can see it in the sky. And then the Doppler radar stations that are in each city are the micro steering mechanisms to change the storms. So they can target blocks. They can target a high wind environment and a storm environment down to a specific 4-block square is the micro engagement. And as you're saying, Durendal, you've heard me say this for a long time, that people are waking up to that. I mean, do we have any natural weather proponents here on the panel? I don't think we do. We're a pretty specific panel, but this is real, and it's tough for people to come to the realization that our weather is not natural.
There's a question from either Rumble or Facebook right there on the screen now, Gan.
Well,
do you see comments on this one?
Yeah. Who wants to chime in on that? Because I have a statement for that. But who wants to chime in on that?
Well, in my opinion, the aurora borealis and australis are natural phenomena, but that does not mean that one couldn't modify them artificially.
Artificial modification. It's in our currency. It's in our food. It's in the media that we consume. There's artificial engagement. That's really the whole. My issue with the holiday season is it's an artificial engagement. It's an artificially inserted theme or meme into our daily social engagement. It disrupts everything. And it's not even the right dates, because I do not believe in our calendar system. We should probably do a show about that before the end of the year as we roll into the new year. But
well, I'll add something to that. Okay, so today is the feast day of St. Lucy of Syracuse, and there are parts of the world where that is celebrated with a observation. But the holiday dates back to the Julian calendar, which is why it is on the 13th of December now, instead of being on the 21st of December, which is what its date would be in the Gregorian calendar. It was a feast on the solstice, but because it started in the Julian calendar, it is the 13th of December, and thus when the calendars were changed, it was moved.
So this goes back to 542, close to 2,000 years ago, 1700 years ago, when the Council of Nicaea synchronized all of the calendars across the realm so that Easter fell on the same day in every realm. And in previous engagements with historical documents, it is very, very clear that we lived on a 13-month calendar at one point in time. The baseline for the 13-month calendar involved something called the Jubilee schedule. And what we were supposed to do within the schedule of Jubilees was engage with a day of thankfulness and a day of forgiveness of debts, so that we were able to have a real societal reset once a year. And so if you live in a 365-day year, which is a celestial timing schedule, then 13 evenly spaced months, and then one day of Jubilee at the end of the year allowed for an observation of the Jubilee schedule. And in the movement to leap years and a 12-month calendar nullified all of that engagement. So EC's talking about a solstice, a review of society by celebration on the solstice calendar. And the solstice calendar is the true root of the 13-month calendar. Well, we're right at 2 hours. Unless anybody has any closing thoughts, we should close with our Chevy Chase, our marker video about how we should all head into this attitude of the Christmas season. I think that's a
Roger that, because we all are on the threshold of hell.
Oh, stop.
Here we go.
Great. Beautiful. God.
Where do you think you're going? Nobody's leaving. Nobody's walking out on this fun, old-fashioned family Christmas. No, we're all in this together. This is a full-blown 4-alarm holiday emergency here. We're gonna press on, and we're gonna have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny fucking Kaye. And when Santa squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house. You're goofy. Don't piss me off, Art.
Clark, it's over.
Not according to Santa's watch, it isn't.
Now, come on, son.
Stay out of this, Dad.
Clark, I think it's best if everyone just goes home before things get worse.
Worse? How could they get any worse? Take a look around you, Ellen. We're at the threshold of hell.
And on that night, everybody, good night. Thank you for your time. And we got any closing words before we sign off? But no, appreciate everybody's time. Good night, everybody.
We'll get another couple of shows in before the end of the year. And I just thank everyone for being here. I love this panel.
Next one's
Thank you very much.
Mushroom ladies.
There will be a show, just FYI, for Monday night with the Mushroom Ladies.
Monday afternoon.
All right.
So
Good night, everyone. Thanks for having me. Good night, everyone. I'm looking forward to the engagement with EC and everyone else. This is always awesome.
Yeah,
I'll share
thank you.
I'll share information so you guys can get a hold of each other offline. I'll try and get that done tomorrow.
Roger that. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.